okay, you said you've been like this since you was little. Bruh, we drank bottles when we was little. I'm definitely not still on a T. Well. What's up, Solicit Nation? It's your girl, Nikki, and I'm back with another Unsolicited Truth Reaction. Hello if you're new, welcome back if you're not. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below so we can keep this party going. And please, guys, continue to watch the ads, continue to hit the thanks button, continue to subscribe, continue to buy my books. All of that helps me continue to do this for you guys full time. Now, I told you guys I was going to get into this reaction, so I'm here to deliver on my word. Before we get started, keep it respectful in the comments, or today I'm gonna actually block folks. I don't normally do that, but I understand that this is a sensitive subject to their fan base, right? And so a lot of opinions are probably gonna be passed along in the comments. There's nothing wrong with having differing opinions or opposing opinions, but you can have a difference of opinion and not insult anyone. I have said it before, I will continue to say it again. Have the conversations down in the comments below. Do not disrespect anyone. If you disrespect someone, you will be removed. That's not what my platform is for. All right, cool, bet. Now, with that being said, y'all know that I am also very unbiased. I am very objective when it comes to my reactions, especially when it comes to my reactions to Ezee x Natalie. I don't pick a side. I don't love Natalie more. I don't love Ezee nor more. I don't know either one of them personally, so I am just an observer, okay? That is literally all I'm here to do. That being said, I will keep my opinions respectful but honest. This is the unsolicited truth, so you already know what it is. If you differ from my opinion or you think that my take on what I've observed is incorrect, you can comment that in the comments below. But again, we just here to keep it respectful and keep the dialogue open and flowing. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, let's get into this. Getting therapy in front of the world. Ezee and Natalie Odell featuring Shan Booty, my girl. Let's get straight to the video.
Thrill and excitement is...
Oh, and grab your wine, okay? Or grab your pen. Let's get into the details. Y'all see how I coordinated all of this? Stop playing with me. I was gonna wear my yellow band, but I was like, nah, I want to keep it black on my wrist. But yeah, get your snacks, get your gummies, get your wine, get your beer, get your water, get whatever you need to get, because it's about to get lit. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a little hit. All right, bars. Let that marinate.
Because that passion phase is really based on the unknown.
Intimacy is just not there, and it's affecting us. If there's a good amount of time that has gone by, like, we should be able to have sex. I'm not going to continue to feel like I'm not being heard in this relationship. It's not just about venting, it's about communicating.
Why does someone get upset that I'm upset?
That's what I feel like. Calling each other names, like those type of things are not necessary if you're really trying to communicate with your partner.
And there's really good news.
Wow. Okay. Excuse me. Trying to recover from that hit. But I had to stop it right there because name calling is a huge red flag to me. Name calling is a huge red flag. Like, if you get angry with me and all of a sudden I become a dummy, I become stupid, I become a hoe, I become a bitch, right? If I become anything other than Nikki or Nicole, right, to you, I'm gonna have to respectfully decline. And the reason why I say that is because the moment those are how little. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I don't know the context yet. But I will say this: name calling and doing is those small seeds that are sown of disrespect, right? Those small seeds of disrespect that get sown into a relationship that end up turning into a whole fucking disrespectful tree later on down the road. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and let them finish because this video already finna be dumb long. I'm trying not to. I will provide my commentary, but I'm gonna try not to stop it too often. But y'all already know if it's something I gotta say, I'm gonna say it. But yeah, the name calling is a huge red flag to me. May not be for other people, but it's a huge red flag to me.
And then there's really bad news here.
Thank you. For real, because they don't have to say. They don't have to
What's
share any of this.
Gang, 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 gang. Okay, y'all.
We out here.
It's a little construction going on, but we're happy to be back on our channel.
Yes, welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
If you guys missed us, we missed you. Yes.
If you didn't miss us, then
we still missed you.
Yes.
Guys, we've been a little absent from YouTube lately, and our personal lives need a little bit of attention. And I feel like, because we're so honest with you guys, we're gonna let you guys know what's going on today.
Yeah, we decided to take a little hiatus. Focus on the relationship a little bit because it was suffering.
Yeah, it was suffering. And we want to be honest, we've been taking therapy, guys. We've been doing therapy, and with that therapy, it's been helping a lot.
It has been, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I felt like it wasn't enough. At least the route that we were taking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're here today with our friend Shan. If you guys don't know who Shan is
a
beautiful.
Sexologist. We'll let her introduce herself.
Yes. So we're here, and we're going to get some advice, relationship advice, couple advice, and just maybe that she can help us out with some of the things that we're going through. So
maybe you guys will take something away from.
That has always been a latent fear of mine. And the reason why I have never pursued a relationship with any woman who has identified as straight. It's because I feel like in the beginning, that intimacy with a woman, it's super exciting, it's brand new, and so it's like the whole novelty of the idea is just like enticing and exciting in itself, right? But once the novelty of it wears off, once that new car smell fades away, so to speak, in the relationship, I've always had a fear that the intimacy would become boring to a straight woman. And not because her partner isn't doing everything to keep it exciting, but I don't know. I feel like, and I don't like to use the word phase, right? And that's not what I'm trying to accuse Natalie of, or saying that's what she's going through. But I'm just speaking from my perspective and my experience, and the reason why I have never dated or had a desire to date anyone who identifies as straight is because of that. I just feel like once the novelty of intimacy with a woman wears off, I do feel like that whole lesbian bed death comes quicker when you're in a relationship with a woman who identifies as straight. You know what I'm saying? Or has been straight her whole life. I know that there are ways to keep it saucy and spice it up. And I know that there are straight women that went with a woman and never went back. Don't get it twisted. I understand all of that. But I'm just saying that's a fear that I've always had. I just felt like at some point she would be like, this is not enough for me anymore. And be looking for the D, and she's straight. So I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean?
Are meant for your relationships too.
Yeah, let's get it popping. You guys ready? If you're new to this channel, make sure you guys subscribe. If you're not new and you're not subscribed,
they are bold and brave.
And turn this post notifications on.
They are bold and brave to be sharing this much with y'all, with all of us. And I hope that everyone understands and respects that. I doubt it, because there's always some idiot running around just deliberately being disrespectful because they think they know better, or just because they have the audacity. But they are being very bold and very brave and transparent in sharing so much of themselves with us. And I just hope that everybody is appreciative of that. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have to share none of this.
So you know when we post.
Please.
Hey. What's up?
Yo, this setup is fire.
Yes.
Fuego.
Yeah. Oh, we can hug. Okay. We can definitely hug. You look beautiful. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Pregnant?
This is so cool. This whole setup is fire. Yo, plans. I'm loving it.
Are you flirting so I'll take your side in this discussion? Is that the strategy?
I think that's what it is.
That's not what it is. First and
It's
foremost,
working. She's toxic.
yes. That's
I love
okay,
Shan, man.
I was a little bit scared because I honestly feel like just because they are very similar in looks, very, very, have very much similarities in their face, So I was like, she's definitely going to side with her. And it's just the eyes. So I was like, I was scared. But since you said that, I know where this is going. Safe space. All right, we're here.
Hi. Hello.
We're here. I know we're all excited
I like that
now,
shirt.
but Might
Like
get
a sure easy.
A little serious.
a little serious.
A little serious is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for trusting me to listen in this conversation. I'm really honored by that.
Of course. Well, let's start like this. Why don't you introduce yourself so they know, exactly what you do and stuff.
Hi, I'm Shan Boudreaux.
So is this Ezee and Natalie? Are they? Oh my God, they should definitely start a podcast. They should definitely start a podcast. But are they? Is this their podcast or is this Shan's?
I look a lot like Natalie, but we are different people.
We're not even related.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
I talk about sex, love, and relationships for a living. I am a fan. I am a student. I am an educator. I have an educational background in psychology, sexology, and journalism, which I think just makes me professionally curious in this area. But to me, it was basically came out of a place of, this is one area in our life that is so important, but we invest so little time in learning, practicing, and becoming that.
That's true. People just jump into it. They be like, they treat it like walking. It's like, well, I know how to walk. I don't get up and practice how to walk. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't walk the correct way, if you develop poor posture, poor walking posture, and eventually you're going to pay for it. It's the same thing with sex. Like, you gotta practice and study that thing, like anything, right, to become great at it.
Masters of, because we assume that if it's right, it'll just come natural.
Right.
And it just wasn't coming natural to me. So I invested a lot of time in education and thought to myself, wow, a lot of other people could benefit from this kind of information and knowledge too.
Yeah.
So I made it my mission to make information about sex, love, and relationships accessible. To make sex education sexy. And that's what brought me here to you guys today. Because I talk about this online or I talk about it wherever I possibly can. And again, like I said, I'm thrilled to talk to you.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about it too. And this, ladies and gents, is why we decided to come talk to her about it. Because
she does
we know
this shit.
She does this. She has a lot of knowledge on it. And like we, expressed to you guys, our relationship has, it's been suffering a little bit.
Especially
recently.
in that area.
So, let's get into it.
Well, I do want to clarify and just say that you guys invest in a therapeutic process together, which is amazing. And any therapist will tell you that the mistake a lot of couples make is they wait until it's too late.
I'm not putting nobody's business out, but there are people in my life who I have tried to stress and emphasize the importance of therapy. And I'm like, most people, the reason why therapy doesn't work is because they waited too long, or when they walk into a therapist's office, they're not open to discussing what's really going on with them. They're not being honest about their actions, their intentions, and their feelings. And they're trying to they're trying to tell the psychologist what's going on with them. And you know what I mean? It's so, but if you go in there and you're open-minded, you're honest, I have never had therapy not work for me. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of people do wait till it's too late, or they go in there already not believing that it's going to work.
Therapy.
Right.
And you guys are like, no, we go and we ask for help all the time.
Yes.
Now, I'm not a therapist. This is not a therapeutic session.
Right.
This is a conversation that is led by curiosity, and I will provide insight where I can. But really, I think the best thing that I can do is just be here to be another person to be like, what about this? What about that?
Yeah. No,
So,
100%. Especially with some of the knowledge that you have. I feel like you'll have the right questions to ask.
So why are we here?
We need help. We need help. I feel like our relationship has been suffering. And in that way, I mean, our romance, our romantic life has been suffering. We used to be very romantic in the beginning, and it was just so much spark, so much fire. And
I remember that was a fear of Natalie's when she said, she was like, I don't want you to stop like romancing me, because Ezee was so romantic to her while they were just best friends. And that's what made Natalie fall in love with her. And she was very afraid of, I remember that in the beginning, her actually saying that in one of the videos. I can't remember which one it was. I feel like it was the one when they went on a date and her hair was like up in a ponytail or something. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I do remember her saying that at some point. She was like, please don't stop romancing me, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because you were so romantic as a friend.
Now it's work, and that intimacy is just not there, and it's affecting us, even the way we work, the way we talk to each other, and the way we handle each other. It needs a lot of attention, and we need to seek help, whether it's trying to switch it up, understanding each other's love languages, or whatever, but it's just not it right now.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is that we're both very curious as to why it's not working, and we're both willing to go and seek help any way possible. Like we've been trying therapy, like talking to you who have a lot of education in this field. So yeah.
How are you feeling the exact same way that Ezee's feeling in terms of that mojo, that sauce?
Yeah, I feel like that mojo and sauce is definitely, lacking.
A little more mild.
Yeah, it's a little mild. It was very spicy before. Now it's a little
tangles.
A little mild.
I told y'all though, also moving in with somebody ain't no joke. It changes the dynamic of your relationship when you can't create when you don't have that default space to go to. You have to learn how to isolate and create individualism, right? And individuality inside of that relationship and inside of that shared space. I'm telling you, if you don't practice it while you're living apart, when you do move in together, it's going to be something that's going to be, the problem was they were always together when they were not living in the same space. And so they were like, oh, we can do this. We can live in the same space. Because they thought it was just a geographical thing. Nah, bruh. I'm telling you, something physiologically changes in our brains and in our bodies and in our interaction with that person when we move into a space and we know that we don't have another space, a safety net space or a default space that we can retreat to if things here get a little too tense or don't feel right. It makes you act different. It makes you act different when you can't go, when you can't leave. You start feeling trapped. You start acting like it, and you start getting skittish.
It was very spicy before. Now it's a little mild. And I think that we have some communication issues on my end. I feel like a big thing is like communication and how we get along in our day-to-day. That really does probably affect our romance. Because if we're not like mentally on the same page, we're not getting along as much and stuff like that, it's not going to make me feel that it's hard for me to just let that go. If I feel like we were just arguing, now I don't really want to come over and be all on you and be kissing you and stuff like that. That's not how like my brain works.
Right.
Interesting.
What's interesting?
I feel like I'm that way. I'm very much that way when it comes to intimacy. Like, especially because being a woman, I feel like with at least from the
wow, that is interesting. The way that Ezee said interesting, it's like they didn't realize that they respond the same way to that kind of behavior towards each other. How long have they been together now? Damn. Has it been like 2 years? A year? 2 years? Officially? I don't know. I feel like it's going on 2 years now, right? Y'all tell me. But I'm sure y'all will tell me. But I find it interesting that they didn't realize that Ezee didn't realize that until now. That when they have an altercation, Ezee said she can't just cut it off and automatically be turned on or want to be turned on. And Natalie said the same thing, and Ezee was like, interesting. She was like, I'm that way. It's like you didn't realize that? You didn't realize that that Natalie was mirroring your behavior? That talks a lot to the lack of relationship and situational awareness that Ezee has. And it's not a dig or a hit against her. It has probably to do with how busy she is and just creating and building a brand right now. That's not something that she's probably her relationship or situational awareness is probably not something she's prioritizing. So she didn't even realize that Natalie is literally responding to their, miscommunications the same way she is.
Guy friends that I have, even if him and his partner are arguing, or friends, they're arguing with their woman, it's like they could still have that sex. You know what I'm saying? Me, for arguing, I don't want to have it. Like, it's not turning me on. You feel me? But she complains about that. I feel like I'm not wanted. I feel like you don't want me enough. But it's just like, well, we're just arguing. Or when I do give it to you, or when we do have sex, you want to argue right after. Where it's just like, I'm the type of person, I'm like, yo, if we having sex, especially if it's been a long time, I'm expecting us not to argue. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I wanted to treat it like it's a reward, but it's like, dang, remember those times we just have sex and it just feels so good after?
Interesting that Ezee brought that up. It's not like I'm trying to use it as a reward, but she basically inadvertently admitted that she does withhold sex to make Natalie appreciate it more and not want to fight or be as antagonistic. That's just my interpretation. It's probably not something that she's consciously doing, but what she just said, the way she just said that, it's not like I'm trying to use it as a reward, but your brain went there, right? So that means that was a part of the thought process at some point in that behavior decision making, right? That's how you have to think about it. When you get random thoughts that pop up like that, when you're talking about a situation, it's not random. That thought was a part of the original thought process when you were making a behavioral choice in this situation. It's just that you didn't do it consciously, and so you don't have like that memory recall where you can be like, oh yeah, no, I consciously said or decided da 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 da. But when you're talking about it, it'll subconsciously come out in conversation. Oh, I don't want to treat this as a reward, but you know that you low key are. You see what I'm saying? That's the point I'm trying to say. It's like she's saying she doesn't use sex as a reward, but at the same time she does withhold sex in order to teach or encourage Natalie to appreciate the sex more by not wanting to argue before or after the sex happens. You feel me? I hope y'all understood what I was saying there, because I feel like I just dropped a diamond.
Why the fuck are we arguing? You know?
What's the answer to that question? What is like the root of the conflicts? Like where's that stemming from repeatedly?
I think a lack of communication, honestly, and like not really knowing. I think comfortability. Let me just say that. I think the main issue we have in this relationship is comfortability, because I feel like the way that, you know, from speaking on my end specifically, I feel like the way, you know, that sometimes you'll be comfortable in talking to me or just like getting so easily frustrated, or the lack of trying to court me still, that affects us so much. You know, it affects me so much. I want to say us because I'm going to speak for myself, to the point where it's like, all right, well, where is there affect the lack of trying to feel like the way, you know, that sometimes you'll be comfortable in talking to me or just like getting so easily frustrated, or the lack of trying to court me still, that affects us so much. You know, it affects me so much. I want to say us because I'm going to speak for myself, to the point where it's like, all right, well, where is there room for romance when I feel like, and just a normal conversation, something that should never lead to an argument is going to lead to an argument because of the way that it's said, or the comfortability of like getting so easily frustrated, you know? So I feel like that's like a huge thing for me.
Difficult for you to go from conflict to sex.
Yeah.
What is the conflict?
The conflict, I think, is just, I'll get too comfortable with her. And like she was pretty much saying, and it's just like, why are you upset about that? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with her, what she does is it's like almost kind of like the same, but in different ways. She argues a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like her always having a response to something is just like, like not stimulating me mentally. You know what I'm saying? Which is also internally like affecting my romance in, you know, that type of way, you know? So I don't know if that answers the question.
I think so. I mean, I think what I hear in summary is that the fact that you guys are not communicating with each other in loving ways, or in ways that make you feel loved or desired by each other all day long, is impacting you in terms of the passion and the sexual desire in the relationship, which also causes frustration, which makes...
Communication is literally the root of everyone's problems in relationships. Either you're not saying what you should be saying or what you mean to say, or you don't say it correctly, or they're misinterpreting what you're saying, or they don't like the way you said it. Miscommunication is the reason why relationships fall apart. I don't give a fuck. Because the miscommunication leads to the cheating. The miscommunication leads to feeling unwanted. Miscommunication leads to feeling resentful. Miscommunication leads to not being appreciated or feeling appreciated. Miscommunication leads to all of that, bro. It leads to all those things, which ultimately end up being the deciding factors in whether or not a relationship stays or fails. I think that it's the way that they communicate towards each other. They both find it disrespectful the way that they communicate towards each other. Ezee thinks that Natalie wants to fight all the time and she doesn't like communicating like that. And then Natalie doesn't like the tone that Ezee uses when she addresses her. So she don't want to communicate when you communicate, when she feel like you communicating to her with a disrespectful tone. So and they said that before, that Natalie was sensitive to tone and Ezee was sensitive to just, you know, I guess combativeness or response or something. I don't know how to, but yeah, they definitely said that Natalie was sensitive to tone.
It's the other problems compounding because now you go to the next day being sexually frustrated in addition to being like, I don't like how you spoke to me.
Exactly.
So it feels like it's a cycle.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that we do, just to kind of touch on something that you said earlier, I think we do share like very similar like viewpoints on like, okay, if we're not getting along, we're not really sexually like attracted to each other, or we're not in that mode. But for me, I think like I can get over things a little bit faster than she can. So if we argue in the morning and then now it's later in the evening and we've been getting along, having lots of laughs and stuff like that, like I'm okay with like, to me, that was in the morning. I'm okay with like us being sexual now, but she'll say things like, well, we haven't even been getting along and stuff like that. And then like sometimes I will.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I get over shit like that. Like I can argue with you when 5 minutes later I'm coming back like, hey, you need something, you want something to drink? Like I get, once the moment ends, the emotion ends for me. And I don't know if that, like, I literally cut the emotion off. It's like even when I'm grieving, right? It's like I'll cry, but the moment that I'm done, I'm done. Or, you know, I've always been like that. Like I can't fake or prolong an emotional response. That's just never been my thing. If I cry, it's going to be legit. I hate crying, so I normally try to fight it. But if I cry, it's going to be legit. It's always going to be legit. But like when it comes to, no idea what they were talking about. No idea. I'm completely gone here.
Still feel like, well, dang, it's not a reward, you know, like how she said, well, it's not, you know, she's like, I don't look at it like a reward, but sometimes it feels like it's being treated as one. Like, I don't think, of course, I'm not the type of person that wants to have sex like in the moment of arguing, and some people are like that. But I feel like if there's a good amount of time that has gone by, like we should be able to
have sex,
like still be romantic if we've been getting along for the past like 5 hours.
Right. But I guess this isn't something that you can put a we label on.
Yeah.
Because you might feel that way.
Right.
And also to resolution, sometimes you could feel resolved. And maybe that's because Ezee apologized to you. But in return, maybe she doesn't feel resolved. And so
now that's something I have to say that I had to work on. I get over shit way easy. I get over shit quicker than anybody in my life. That's just me. And I would come back to that. I would come back to whoever I'm dealing with, and I'm ready to like interact with you in the normal way, and they're still in that space, and that would then piss me off again. And one thing I had to learn was that my recovery time and everybody else's recovery time is going to be different, just because that's just the way we're individuals. That's the way we're built, right? And so what I started doing was when I recover or I get over something, I still give, you know, I check in with the person, do a little temperature check. If they still not rocking, I give them the space. You got to give people the space to recover, and they got to do it in their own time. And you can't just be like, well, I'm over it, so why are you still mad about it? Because I'm allowed to be shit. You may not be able to control, you maybe be able to control what you say, but you can't control how I take what you say. And that's the part that I had to realize. And even with them, you know, I understand that Natalie is sensitive to tone, right? But like, you can't control, you can't really control what Ezee says or how she says it. And you still, even if, and this is my firm belief, is that you still have to choose to be offended. Even if somebody says something extremely offensive, you still have to choose to be offended. You get what I'm saying? Like, they could say a racial slur, a gay slur, or say, people can say whatever, and you still have to choose to be offended. I don't think people understand that. They be like, no, it's offensive, therefore I by default should be offended. Offense is still an emotion you choose. You choose all of your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like, grow up. Grow up. I think that I have maybe like a 5-second delay when I'm introduced into a situation and I'm about to have an emotional response. I literally do a quick inventory of which emotion I'm gonna pick. And like, there are times where somebody has said something to me and I knew that they were trying to get under my skin, and I'm like, because I have that 5-second delay, I go, they want me, they want me to respond. And so I go, nah, I'm not gonna give them that. Or I do that same thing, and then I go, hey, you know what? I'm feeling petty today. I'm gonna give them what the fuck they just gave me. And so I think that that's the part where Natalie, on her end, is like, if your piece is truly your purpose and your priority, it's a level of maturity that most people won't ever reach. And that's just the truth of the matter, because I'm watching it in my own life as I come to certain levels of maturity, and I choose peace over ego. I choose peace over my pride. I choose peace over being right. I choose peace over, just, winning a fight. Like, that's just me, man. That's just me. Like, I don't care about none of that. Like, I'd rather be at peace. You be angry, go fight with the wall. Go argue with a picture. I ain't got time for that shit. That's just me though. And I think that Natalie has to start picking her battles, in a sense that, like Ezee says, she always want to fight. It's like, if you're triggered by tone, bro, you're a walking live wire, because everything is gonna trigger you. People say stuff like in the wrong tone and context all the time. Like, she must be walking around like hella triggered all the time, because if you policing everybody's tone, like, that's crazy, man. I'm not gonna. People talk reckless to people. That's just the nature, especially in 2022. People talk reckless. People be like, your baby died. They be making fun of like sick people online. Like, this world has no soul, man. And you can't be tone sensitive. You really can't. I told you that's something I had to work on. When somebody say something I don't like in a certain tone, I can just be like, exhale, process, and realize that it's not worth it. And that's, in that regard, I will say that Natalie has to pick her battle. You can't argue over every tone. You just can't. And, and you like, oh, she talking to me crazy. I get it, but the way you respond is also going to determine how far that thing escalates. Like, even if somebody says something offensive to you, if you keep yourself calm and you just tell them calmly that they offended you, it can probably de-escalate the situation while still expressing that you were offended. You get what I'm saying? But if you come at them with the same fervency and energy they come at you, people always be like, keep that same energy. I'm gonna give you that same energy. And it's like, well, then y'all gonna go back and forth then.
You could move on about, because like we talking about, we ended it. For you, maybe it didn't end.
Yeah.
That could be the case.
That is the case a lot of the time.
Or do you feel like you're the kind of person who just stays in a stank mood for a long period of time?
No, I think that I can hold, not a grudge, but it's just like, if I'm affected in a big way, you know what I'm saying? It's not that we just argued about freaking who can choose what food it is. It's like an argument sometimes where it's like, yo, like, could be detrimental to our relationship. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to just get over that, or my feelings being ignored. I'm not going to continue to feel like I'm not being heard in this relationship. And because I feel that way and you're not catering to that feeling, it's like, how am I going to be sexually, like, how am I supposed to be sexual right now? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or try to have sex, So I'm not in that mode when I feel like you don't cater to my feelings,
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of quizzes that I want to suggest right now that I think, first of all, foremost, let me just frame this discussion by saying there's really good news and then there's really bad news here.
Okay.
The really good news is that this is so common that when we get to a place in a relationship, especially multi-hyphenate relationships, friends, business partners, lovers, homies, dog walkers for each other, you do everything together, right? We can start out with high passion, but eventually that passion turns more into a companionship. And that's the goal of love in general. You want to get to a place where you are now locked in. That's where commitment takes place. But there's a trade-off that happens in that balance, because now I know you so well and I can rely on you so much that thrill and excitement is gone, because that passion phase is really based on the unknown. The more you get to know someone, the less that you don't know. So the less that there is that sort of adrenaline rush when that person walks around.
Which is why I said yesterday, you have got to embark upon new adventures. You can't be afraid to go and do something that you may not necessarily want to do or like to do, or maybe even afraid to do. If your partner's willing to do it, trust them and go and create that new adventure. Those things like that keep the passion alive, man. Y'all got to keep the shit fresh.
So that's the good and the bad news, is that you've now moved into a stage of your relationship where you have a deeper level of commitment. You have more responsibilities together. You have to rely on each other for a lot more. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
But the downside is that the passion doesn't become this automatic thing anymore. It becomes something that you have to intentionally work for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you've made that adjustment to now intentionally working to create that passion rather than just expecting it to be there?
I feel like in a lot of ways we just kind of expect it to be there. I don't think that we've put in adequate work towards keeping that passion alive. I think that some other issues that we have in our relationship, like, are things that we like to consider like our non-negotiables, where it's like, okay, I need this in a partner and she needs this in a partner. I think those things we have like put in a lot of work towards, where it's just kind of is a cycle. Like, it'll get better for a while and then the same topic continues to come up. But I definitely feel like we could put more effort towards like keeping the passion and romance alive. It's just a little bit hard to do that when we're having a hard time getting along because of those non-negotiables.
Yeah. And I think that we don't intentionally.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem. I'm sorry. I don't agree with the term non-negotiable in a relationship. What? It's called a relationship. What you mean it's non-negotiable? That's the whole point. Every day we're negotiating. That's the whole point of a relationship. Every day you are negotiating whether or not you are going to continue to choose this relationship. Every day is a business deal. Every day you're making a business deal with this person. Every single day. I think, and again, I maybe I just have a different outlook when it comes to relationships. Girl, shut up. Ain't nobody talking to you. Siri. Bitch. I just, I don't know. It's different for me because I don't believe in non-negotiable if we're trying to build a life together. That's crazy to me, dog. Like, that non-negotiable. Now, honestly, if you're talking about non-negotiables, the non-negotiables should be the same on both sides, i.e. don't hit me, don't violate me in any way as far as like betraying me, cheating on me, da-da-da-da-da. Those are non-negotiables. Those I get. But like, if there are non-negotiables inside of a relationship that y'all don't agree on, they should be negotiable. It should, you know what I'm saying? Those are not non-negotiables. Non-negotiables to me are things that we both agree on and we both decide are necessary in order to make our relationship successful. That's how I see that. Non-negotiables, like, you shouldn't have your own individual non-negotiables and I shouldn't have my own individual non-negotiables, because when we come together in a relationship, we're supposed to negotiate all of that individual non-negotiable shit, right? Like, I don't get that. And I think that that's a recipe for disaster. I think that's a recipe for failure. And I think that if there are non-negotiables on either side in a relationship, it's going to eventually fail because it's non-negotiable, right? Which means that you're not willing to meet and talk about it and work through it without me just making a concession to your will and your way in this situation. That's not, it's two human beings with free will. Like, you can't, what? That's crazy to me. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't like that term non-negotiable. That's crazy to me.
All of the things that we already are going through, it's like, it's hard when you're just working. You know what I'm saying? You're just working. You're not catering to the relationship. You're not catering to even yourself. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to like intentionally putting in that sexual effort and complimenting each other and stuff like that, we just don't do it enough. And as we are here, you can see that. You know what I'm saying?
So if we broke this down to kind of like 3 different buckets, bucket 1 is just general communication that makes me feel disrespected or unloved.
Right.
And obviously you respect each other and you love each other. So the great news is that all you got to do here is be mindful of what triggers your partner and avoid that language.
Yeah.
So when you say, Weezy gets frustrated with you really easily, what are some of the languages or things that she does that you're like, hey, it would mean a lot to me if you, even though you're comfortable with me, instead of just coming to me automatically and correcting me or giving me that tone, I would actually appreciate if you gave me more grace and patience in these areas.
Absolutely. I love that.
I think that I'm very much like tone sensitive. I don't really want people to talk to me with an attitude, let alone yell at me. I've been like that
I used to be like that. Like I used to, tone. I told y'all, tone used to trigger me something serious, and I'm still sensitive to people's tones now. I just don't care to respond anymore. I used to respond every time I felt some kind of tone sensitivity. But here's my thing: as long as you do what I ask you to do, I don't give a fuck how you do it. As long as I get my way in a situation, I don't care how it comes about. Like, and that's what I had to realize about tone. Like a lot of times, you get mad about tone and you end up shooting yourself in the foot in a situation just because you didn't like somebody's tone. If somebody's telling you yes, but they're telling you yes with an attitude, who gives a fuck how they say it? They said yes. That's me now. That's me now. I'm not gonna hold you. A few years ago, I was very much like, if I got a yes, but I didn't like the way you said yes, I was like, bitch, keep your yes. That comes from immaturity. It really does. I'm sorry, it does. You get a settlement in court, right? And the person you get the settlement from, they write you the check and they're like, here, take this, bitch. Fuck you. I hate you. You're not going to be like, oh no, I didn't like the way you said that. So please keep the check that you just handed me. You get it? So that's when I started looking at situations like that, I was like, tone policing, right? Can really keep you in a position of lacking and not coming out on top in situations or not getting your way in a situation. So I just started being like, and a lot of people use tone because they know that you finna get your way in a situation. And so they want you to get mad about the way that they agree or the way that they concede so that you be like, you know what, F it, I don't even want it. Nah, I ain't that person. I ain't the person that be like, F it, I don't even want it. Give me my shit. Run me my shit. That's just me though. And you know, yeah, that whole sensitivity to the tone policing though, that's, you gotta grow up, man. That's just the truth. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up because you be missing out on a lot of opportunities just because you're mad at the way somebody presents the opportunity. Fuck all that. If the opportunity is gonna benefit me, give me my shit, bro. I don't care how you say it. I don't care if you're mad about it because somebody else is forcing you to do it. Give me that. You see what I'm saying? As long as I get my yes, I don't care how you say it. That's maturity. That's maturity.
That since I was little, like I would get if my mom would yell at me.
Since you was little, baby, no harm. You in your late 20s. Gotta grow up. Gotta grow up.
Teacher would yell at me, I'd start crying immediately. Like I don't like that. And I think that's kind of like, she'll call it passion when she's speaking to me. And sometimes I'm like, I shut down. Like I don't respond well to like anybody raising their voice at me or coming at me.
And here's the thing, people be like, well, that's just the way I am. And I'll be like, but if you didn't make no effort to change that or to condition yourself to think or behave otherwise, then yeah, you're right. That's just who you are. There's nothing, the same way you can change your, like some people are born obese, right? Or they have been obese their whole life. And then all of a sudden at 30 or 40 years old or something like that, they drop all that weight and now they're thin. There is no such thing as that's just the way I am. If you got breath in your body and you're physically capable of doing it and mentally capable of doing it, you can make changes. You can make a change. Don't sit there and tell me that because you've had this behavior since you were a child, you can't change it. You haven't. That means all that tells me is that you have not put sufficient effort into making that choice or conditioning yourself to behave otherwise. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And again, that's not a dig at Natalie. That's just something that, in my opinion, it screams and comes across as immature. It's immature, dog. Like, you gotta, like, okay, you said you've been like this since you was little. Bruh, we drank bottles when we was little. I'm definitely not still on a teat. Well, you gotta grow up, man. You gotta grow up. You can't suck on a pacifier for your whole life. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up. You can't be sensitive to tone your whole life. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up. You know what I'm saying? You can't, every time somebody tries to pick a fight with you, you can't be willing to fight. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up.
With like a certain tone, that would be something that I'd appreciate if you didn't do. Or like even like cussing when we're upset. Like I would like for us to practice not doing that, like not cussing at each other or, you know, being super offensive, like calling each other names, like
that
those
part.
type of things.
I told y'all that part right there, the calling each other names part is a red flag for me. That's crazy. That's crazy. Don't call me stupid. Don't call me dumb. Don't call me a hoe. Don't call me a bitch. You calling me out my name speaks volumes to me. It's because if you can insult me in that way, then you can you can be insensitive to me emotionally and you can be I don't call me out my name because I would never. I have no reason to ever. I have never gotten into an argument with anyone in my life. And I've been in plenty of arguments, if you can imagine, because you see the way I talk. I have never gotten into an argument with anyone in my life and called them out their name. No one, not ever. I was never like, you bitch, you this. I never, ever. And I mean, I've been livid. I've been enraged. And I never called anybody out of their name. That's crazy to me. Like, I don't understand how y'all get to that point. You don't love, I'm not going to say you don't, I don't know. I just feel like there's certain people, because I look at it like this. Like, you can get extremely mad with your mom, but have you ever called your mom a bitch? Like, ever? Like, have you ever called your mom a bitch? I ain't never called Mama Truth a bitch. First of all, I wouldn't even be here. And if I would, I'd be sitting here with no teeth. I ain't never called Mama Truth a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Just gummed up. Gummed up, all right? Nah, man. There's certain things that I don't agree with. I feel like people choose to be that spiteful towards each other in arguments. And if you can go there, man, you don't consider me and you don't love me the way that you say you do. I'm sorry, you just don't. The name calling thing, I told you, that's why I'll go on a tangent on that. The name calling thing is a huge red flag for me, and generally enough for me to leave a relationship, especially if it happens early enough on. If it happens a year or two in, we'll have a conversation about it. I got grace and mercy on that. But if it happens within a month or two, you know what I'm saying? Of us trying to get to know each other, oh baby, I'm done. I'm done. It only gets worse from there.
Like, I feel are not necessary if you're really trying to communicate with your partner and not just like be offensive.
I would love, because we're not going to accomplish, and again, we're not in a therapy session here, and we're covering a lot in a short space of time. But what we're trying to just accomplish is like, what are the areas and the potential for growth, the opportunities for growth. And that's an opportunity for growth right there. So I just want to know, because you can't fix this in a day. It could take years to curb those things, because obviously that reaction, those emotional reactions might be learned behavior from childhood even.
Mm-hmm.
So that's work that you have to dedicate to doing that by yourself. So I would just love if in this moment you could reflect back to Natalie what you just heard and what your intentions are given what she just said.
My intentions.
Not a therapy session, but that's good, girl. I love that. Reflect back to her what she said and give her your intentions and how you can correct that behavior.
Are never to make you feel like I'm attacking you. You know what I'm saying? So like when I am speaking passionately and I'm feeling some heightened emotions, I know it can come off aggressive, and I want to cater to you being tone sensitive and stuff like that. So, I want to make sure that I'm being aware of the way that I'm speaking to you, so you don't feel like, all right, I just don't care about your feelings, or I'm being angry or aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And just catering to that emotion so you know that I actually care. And I'm actually taking what you're saying into consideration and wanting to do better for this relationship. That way we can get to moments that even if we are arguing, it can be like, wow, she's being very sweet, and it can even turn somewhat sexual,
Mm-hmm. I think in order for change to happen, you have to change more than just your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's anything else. Yeah. I can't just decide like I want to get in better shape today. I've got to change lifestyle. I got to change habits. I got to put a plan in action to follow through with that.
Yeah.
So because one of the harder things to change is the way that we react when we're emotionally triggered.
Mm-hmm. It's reaction. I have spent the last couple of years really just like being self-aware of my reactions, right? Because I realized that's where, and I think I said this in a previous video, that's where offense really comes from. Offense really comes from like I say something, right? And then you react to what I say. And then I react to how you reacted. You see, it's the reactions that really start the volatile or make the situation volatile. Even if I say, because here, remember I said this in that video, if I say something offensive, deliberately offensive to you, but you react in a way that doesn't allow that negative energy that I sent towards you to turn into anything but a deadpan response of, all right, well, I can't do anything about that. That's how you feel. You see what I'm saying? Something like that. Like if you don't give me that same energy back, that shit dies right there. It dies at your feet. But if you give me offensive energy back, I'm going to more than likely give offensive energy back because that's how people are built. Bro, like that's what I mean. Like yes, the person who says the offensive thing can choose not to say the offensive thing, but the person who gets offended can also choose not to get offended. And that's the part that people have the hardest part with. You know what I'm saying? And they don't agree with that. And they're like, no, you should just not offend me. Okay, bitch, but you should also choose not to be offended. You get what I'm saying? Like that, I mean, that to me, that's the cart and the horse, the chicken and the egg. I feel like that should go hand in hand. Like, I don't care. Like, I work on both personally. Like, I purposely choose to not offend with my tone or with my truth. At the same time, I also practice not getting offended, because a lot of people who tell the truth and who don't and who offend with the truth or whatever the case may be, they're also on the flip side sensitive when somebody try to do it to them. It's like, nah, man. I personally work on not offending by what I say and how I say it, but I work harder on not reacting to when somebody says something offensive, because that's where the real strength of character comes into play. Excuse me. The real strength of character comes into play when you are choosing to not get offended when somebody is deliberately trying to offend you. Don't take it personal, even if it's personal. That's the shit that's one of my favorite philosophies. Don't take it personal, even if it's personal. That person is smaller than you. That's why they made it personal. They're smaller than you. Let it go, man.
To fight or flight, and that's a very automatic system.
Yeah.
So in order to ensure that you don't snap at your partner, what other changes are you willing to make good on the promise you just made?
Yeah,
verbally?
behaviorally.
I think other changes that I can make is just, I think, meditating more. You know what I'm saying? To keep that calmness and awareness is something that I like to do is mirror practices. You know what I'm saying? And those things help me be a way more calm person. You know what I'm saying? So I think internally I have to.
So she's saying that she needs to work on behaviors and practice behaviors that sustain her calmness. So that when she does find herself in volatile situations, she is already in a calm state, and it's harder for her to react or become volatile because she's in such a, tempered state. And that's good. That's really good. But you should also just practice silence. Is one of the things that helped me, is that whenever I realize something I started working on recently was that when I realize I'm in a situation, right, or in a conversation with somebody, and I realize that they are triggered emotionally, I shut up. Because I realize that once somebody is triggered emotionally, no matter what you say, even if it's something that you think even if it's something that you say that you think is going to de-escalate the situation, more often than not, because they are already triggered emotionally, they're raw, and whatever you say is going to hurt them. They're raw. Their emotions, they're wearing their heart on their sleeve now, and whatever you say is going to touch their heart. Whatever you say is going to hurt them. And so when I realized that I triggered somebody emotionally because of what I said or what I did, and they start coming at me, I get quiet. And that's the thing where you're going to have to just shut your ego up, shut your pride up, and just, swallow all your responses and grow like, again, grow the hell up. And don't get it twisted. I have my moments, like, me and my older brother had a moment a couple weeks ago, and I lost it, and immediately I regretted it. And immediately, like, my body was like, girl, this is just not us. It's not what we do. And I calmed down, but it was just like, I realized I was like, I can't be angry. I don't want to be angry. And I choose peace over all that. And before that, I hadn't gotten angry in like over a year. Like, and I mean that. I hadn't gotten angry in over a year. And so now I know, I was like, it's just not, I don't have the capacity to get angry anymore. And I know some people may consider that to be weak, or they may be like, well, what you gonna do if somebody piss you off or somebody say something? I could just walk away. I could just not engage. That's me. I'm more of the not engaged type. I'm gonna just go sit down somewhere and read a book.
To work on myself before I can give all that to you, and making that action. So hopefully, does that answer the question? Or
yeah, is therapy something that you engage in alone or have thought of engaging alone if anger outbursts are something that you're like, oh, I do that and I don't like that I do that?
Yeah, I've tried it and I think it was very beneficial. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, I don't know, it's just, the therapists are just like, it's like they don't get there. They don't give you but they're also just a regular human, so they can't give you all of the answers. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do the work yourself too.
Gods.
So I think it's helped so much, and I've changed so much drastically. So a lot of things that she has said and mentioned, I've changed drastically. Therapy could help, but I feel like it's not that big enough to where it's like, all right, I could do this with her, the therapy sessions together, you know?
And you feel like meditation is that solo practice you can do by yourself. There's things that within your own control.
Yeah.
And that's actually really helpful.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a satisfactory plan to you?
Yeah. I feel like if it is something that like you actually, you know, stick to and can be like
consistent behavior,
like consistent with, I think it would actually really help, because I have noticed like when you are taking more time for yourself, like emotionally and mentally, and just like creating like a peaceful space for yourself, I've noticed like it makes a big difference in how you react to things and interact with me.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about you.
She can't wait. Let's talk. Okay, now what are you gonna do?
Well, yeah,
I'm waiting for Shan to ask you.
It's those subtle things like that. Now let's talk about you. Ezee was uncomfortable being. Well, I'm not gonna say she was uncomfortable, but it was a little egotistical. It was a little egotistical. All right, now we said what I'm gonna do. Let's say what you're gonna do. You gotta stay in the moment. See, that's the thing, is that you gotta be concerned about you. You can't be worried about the next, right? It's like, yeah, now that we done said what I'm gonna do, what you gonna do? That it can't be like that. It has to be genuine. Like the changes that you're making have to be genuine to you. Like, fuck everybody else. Like this shouldn't even be like, if I'm Ezee, this is not about Natalie. If I'm Natalie, this is not about Ezee. I'm changing these behaviors because if it doesn't work in this relationship, 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna work in the next one, or the third, or the one after that, or the one after that, right? And it's probably what didn't work in the previous relationships. When you decide to make these changes, you're not just changing for the person you're in the relationship with. You're changing it, for any future partners you may have if this just doesn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So that right there is those little subtle things like that. How do they always say it? It's my mom says it to me all the time. It's the small foxes that spoil the vine, or something like that. It's the small things that we don't police in our relationships that end up turning into, like I told you, it's the little seed. It's that little seed of disrespect that ends up turning into a big motherfucking tree. And then next thing you know, y'all got like this thing that y'all can't deal with. Y'all just don't have the capacity to get rid of it. It's become your whole relationship. And yeah, I think that little subtle thing right there. All right, we didn't talk about me. Let's talk about you now. It's like, nah, let it sit with you. Sit with it. It's okay. Sit with it. Own that shit. Sit with it. Take your accountability and sit with it. And then let Natalie take her accountability on her own. Don't be like, now it's your turn. Now what you going to say? No, because it got to be real for the both of y'all. You took responsibility. You took accountability. Now allow her to do the same. You telling her to take accountability is not the same as her just willingly taking it. You see what I'm saying? Like, and then you also being like, now that I done took accountability, you need to take accountability. Well, was your accountability genuine? Or were you just taking accountability because you wanted me to take accountability, but you don't, you know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that you mean the shit. This is already an hour long and we're only halfway through, guys. I told y'all I'm gonna probably upload this. I'm gonna upload this in 2 parts. I have to. Shit. All right, Solicit Nation. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this shit into 2 parts because this is absolutely crazy how long this is. Yeah, freaking A. All right. Stay tuned. Next part is uploading like literally right now. The next part is dropping like right now. Right now. It should already be up.